Hello, hello. Welcome to the Kelly Schmalenberg Show, where we have conversations of all shapes and sizes, of all different topics, all different backgrounds. Everything that's coming to the forefront will be coming into this podcast. I am your host, Kelly Schmalenberg. I am an empowerment and transformation coach. I specialize in helping women truly see themselves at the deepest level and transforming their lives from the inside out. So ultimately, it's my life's work to help you see your truest potential, to believe in yourself fuller, to step with confidence, to be the version of yourself that you've always desired to be, and more. So I am sharing today a little bit about my life, a little bit about what I've been recently going through, and I'll dive into more past stories in later episodes. But today I wanted to really dive into a vulnerable space of something that I have been through recently. I am now almost 2 years postpartum, and it's quite interesting. So I started in personal development in say 2015, around like the end of 2014, 2015, so about 11 years ago. And it took a very long time for me to grasp the concepts of it, to shed the conditioning that I had based around the beliefs of who I was. I was a chronic people pleaser. So I had to get rid of that aspect of myself. And I didn't know what I wanted to be in my life. I didn't know who I wanted to be in my life. I didn't really know who I was at the core because there was always this background noise of I am only here for other people. I am only here to make other people happy. I am only here to serve other people. And that was something that actually took a big toll on me because I stopped doing things that made me happy. And I started just saying yes to everything that anybody wanted of me, which, if you can relate to that, you know, is very detrimental to not only your mental health, your emotional state, but also your physical health because it's exhausting. It's exhausting not doing things that light you up. But I was never really taught how to take care of myself. I was never really, I mean, as most of us aren't, I was never really shown how to stand up for myself, how to know what I want, how to say no. I just had this constant feeling that if somebody wanted me to do something, I had to say yes because I didn't want to make other people uncomfortable. No matter how I felt. I just wanted to make everybody else comfortable. And if it was at my expense, that was fine because that was my purpose here. And it wasn't until I was probably about 30, maybe 30, we'll say 32 is a magic number. I'm 36 now. 32 is the magic number. Um, when I finally started to actually wrap my head around what it meant to live life for me. And until that point, I had been searching and trying to figure out who I was and going through the motions and going through the inner work and doing the deep dives and looking at the shadows and healing and healing and healing and shifting my beliefs and working with mentors and taking programs and courses and all the things, all while focusing on building a business because I knew that was where I was supposed to be. I knew that I wasn't really meant to be in a job because I suck when people tell me what to do, especially since I did it my whole life when I didn't like to. And now that I'm like, I am an independent, powerful woman, if you tell me what I can do or what I have to do with my time because it's for you, we have a problem there. Unless it's a win-win-win situation for all of us, I have a hard time with that. And so being an employee, I left jobs all the time because I was just I didn't like being told what to do. So I had to find something on my own. I had to become an entrepreneur. I had to build a business. I had to find different income sources because I needed to support the lifestyle that I desired, that I felt good living. And it took a very, very long time for me to first figure that out. And second, figure out how that looked for me and what it meant for me and how I could actually make that happen. And it was a journey of ups and downs and fails and crashes and mistakes and procrastination and fear. And it all was piling and piling and piling. And then finally it clicked. It freaking clicked so much. And I figured out who I was. And I started to really, really own it and really unapologetically show up every day in my life for this. And it was creating such a massive momentum. It was insane. I was reaching out to people. I had like so many people coming into my world. Women were flocking to my stuff. It was insane. It was so liberating to say how much power there is when it clicks. And so I was helping more women and building my business and growing and expanding and scaling to next levels and watching all of these amazing, incredible women shift their lives and do amazing things for themselves. And then I got pregnant in 2024. My partner and I found out that I was pregnant. And this came as a little bit of a shock where we weren't fully anticipating that it was going to happen. And my body hadn't told me that I was. So my body was giving me signs that I wasn't. And it turned out that I was. And so when I had my first ultrasound, when I finally realized that I was pregnant, I had my first ultrasound and I was expecting to be, I don't know, under 12 weeks. I thought I was still in my first trimester because I was just starting to get symptoms. And I'll never forget the moment that the technician asked if I wanted to know the gender of my baby or the sex of my baby. And I was like, what? You can tell this early? And she's like, no, you're further along than I had thought. And my heart kind of like sank a little bit. And I'm like, what do you mean? How far along am I? And she said that I was 19 weeks, 7 days. So I was practically I was, yes, or 6 days, but I was at the halfway point. Halfway point. So not only did I get a shock that I was pregnant, I was halfway through it. And I hadn't had time to even prepare for the fact that I was. Now I was already past the point where I could tell people. I was already past the point where everything was going on. And I was like in utter, complete shock that this was happening. And also at the same time, so incredibly excited because this is something that I've wanted my whole life. I wanted to have a baby my whole life. I wanted to have a family my whole life, and it was finally happening. And so it kind of moved things into a fast, accelerated pace because at that time we were living in an apartment and it wasn't very big. And I've got two stepkids. I've got a stepdaughter and a stepson. And I know our stepdaughter wanted to come stay with us as well. So we needed to make sure that we had space for everybody, all while also raising a baby. And so we needed to get a house. So we went fast forward, rushing to get a house. And in this whole span, I felt so much creativity in my business. I started getting all of these ideas. I actually I put together the back end, every piece of it. I gathered 15 women together and I ran an entire online summit within a matter of months as well, which is quite impressive, especially if you're really big and pregnant. And if you want access to that, and I have it on sale in my back end as well. So just let me know if you want that. It is $297. for lifetime access to those conversations, but there's 15 conversations that are absolutely incredible. And while I was building that summit out, I was also looking for houses, going with a friend of mine who's a realtor. She was dragging me out there and we were going to look at houses and making memories all at the same time, and also planning for a baby, and also figuring out what was next. And it was such a chaotic couple of months. So I found out in April, and he arrived the beginning of September. So between April and September, all of this took place. All of this took place. And then we ended up we found a house. The deal went through, and then it fell. Then it fell through. And I felt so distraught in that moment. But at the same time, I knew it wasn't the house that we needed. And then we found our house, and we got possession August 15th. And I gave birth September 5th. And luckily, we still had the apartment for a little bit. And then we moved into the house October 1st. So crazy timelines. In this chaos, hormones were shifting, timelines were moving, emotions were all over the place. My physical body was making such big changes. And then nobody really prepares you for the hormone drop after you have a baby. Nobody can actually prepare you for that, because I'm sure every woman has a different experience. But once you have the baby, it's just like everything changes. You're growing, you're doing, like, you're so filled with love, and you're so filled with joy and happiness. And at the same time, your entire life, your entire being, and your body are completely uprooted, mushed around, and then dropped back into place in like a ball of chaos. And it takes a very long time to sort through that. Maybe some go really fast. Like me, in my journey, it's taken a while. It's taken quite a while. And I think, I am so incredibly grateful. Like, having a baby at 35, I am so incredibly grateful um, that I had prepared myself for that in a way where I had the inner work. I did all of the unsexy shadow discovering who I was work beforehand, because it's a massive life change. So I have the tools in my tool belt to be able to hold myself through it. And at the same time, I had spent that time figuring out who I was, and all of a sudden, I became somebody different. My whole identity was shifted. Everything that I had learned, everything I had known about myself became different. And so for the last 2 years, have been going through the ups and downs and ins and outs of a massive, massive, massive identity crisis. All while raising a baby, all while breastfeeding the whole time, all while going through some sleep deprivation, all while building a business. And I was trying to do it the way I did it before. And so my business was actually taking a massive hit. Nobody was coming into my world. Things were feeling really, really, really sticky, really, really, really hard, really exhausting. And it's because I was trying to do it from the identity that I had built this far. And I wasn't accepting. There was this piece of me that was denying the fact that it was different, was denying the fact that I am not the same person, was denying all of it. And I was avoiding going through all of the work that had brought me to that point again. I had this inclining, like, you need to start over, and not start from scratch, but start over from this new sense of self. But there was a part of me, and it was mostly ego driven, of I worked so hard to build what I have, and you expect me to give that way up when I have done everything like blood, sweat, and tears literally into this way of living, into becoming this version of myself. And now all of a sudden I'm to give it up. I'm to brush it over and be like, nope, you are somebody different today. You are completely different overnight in a heartbeat. And it was a moment of like, I just did the most amazing things in a few months. I created a human. I went house hunting and we bought a house. I built a summit and launched a summit and hosted a summit with 15 women. And you're telling me that I can't do that right now because I have to slow down, because I have to heal, because I have to become this new version of myself, because I have to actually figure out who the hell that is. And I was in such a resistance to that, that it took over everything that I was. And it took over my business. And, also when I came back from a little couple months of maternity leave, I had another massive hit where uh, one of my one-to-one clients that I worked with for 4 years filled me in that while I was off, they had had a stroke and found out that they had a brain tumor and there was not much time left. So now a client I've been working with and built such a beautiful working relationship with over 4 years was no longer going to be in my business, no longer going to be in my world, no longer going to be a client, um, and since passed away. So all of this was happening, everything kind of just crammed in all at the same time. And I was just trying to be who I was. And it didn't work because I wasn't who I was anymore. And so, like, as you're listening to this, I want to invite you to look at the moments where maybe you've had a big life change. Maybe you've had an uprootal of your life, if that's even a word. Maybe you've had a relationship shift. Maybe you've become a mom. Maybe you've ended a business relationship. Maybe you have started a new health journey. Maybe you've changed careers. Maybe you've retired. Maybe you've finished high school. I don't know. Whatever stage of life you're in while you're listening to this, whatever the shift is for you, I want you to ask yourself, like, where are you seeing that you are denying who you are now? Where are you seeing that you're denying who you are because you liked who you have been? Where are you noticing that you're avoiding doing the work because you feel like you should be able to live how you were living before, and you're just not willing to go forward? You're not willing to see that there's a new way. Like, I want you to kind of look at that and notice what that means for you. Notice if that means that you're holding on to something that you're afraid you're going to grieve when you finally let it go. Or are you afraid that if you step into this version of yourself that you know you're meant to be now, if it's going to make you succeed beyond your wildest dreams, and you don't know if you can hold that yet? Because that's where I was at, is I was holding on to the level of success that I had when I was being who I was. And there was this sense of fear and belief that if I owned fully who I am now, I would be so powerful and it would be so natural. The success would flow so fast. And it almost felt like it would take away from my family. Like it would be mean that I was becoming more successful and I would have to spend less time with my family, or I'd have to spend less time taking care of my son, or I'd have to spend less time doing the things that I want to do in order to build more. And that is totally false. That is a complete story that was made up in my mind because the way that I build my business is around life, is around living, is around being true to your desires. And my desired way of living is to be with my family. And so by doing that, I actually manifested stress. I manifested panic. I manifested overwhelm. I manifested breakdown after breakdown after breakdown because I wasn't willing to see how living in this chaos and living in this identity shift and living honoring this season of my life right now was actually more in alignment than pretending that I had it all together, right? Than pretending that it was the way it used to be. And so once I owned that and I started actually going through the work, I kind of went, we're back at the beginning. Let's start over. Let's go with it. Let's just move through in a massive way. And I was talking to actually my mentor yesterday, and we had come up with a lot of this as well. But noticing how much I have shifted over the past 2 years to bring this in a way that is going to impact more lives than I've ever imagined in my life. And I know that to be true. And so the belief that was holding me back was because I was so scared of what's to come. I was so scared of owning this version of myself because I know the impact that I can make. And so if you have this fear of becoming that next version of yourself, of becoming who you're meant to be, of becoming that that version of you that you know you are, if you're denying that or avoiding it, my invitation to you is to find out why. Ask yourself, why am I avoiding this? Why am I avoiding accepting myself? Why am I avoiding living in alignment to exactly how I want to be living? What is the fear there? What's stopping me? And when you can move through that, I promise you, you will move mountains. You will show up differently. You will walk differently. You will speak differently. You will wake up and be different with your family. Like you will be different because you will be the version of yourself that you are meant to be. And sometimes that happens instantaneously when you fully uncover why you've been avoiding it in the first place. So, this is what I wanted to share with you today. And I'm going to go deeper through a few episodes. So this isn't the end of the story. There's still lots to dive into. Um, but I want to leave you with that today. I want to leave you with that work of really honoring where you're at today. Like, who are you today? Who really are you today? What does that feel like for you? And what are you avoiding? And I think, for me, those were the questions that made the world of difference and have helped me to create a massive clarity shift in the way that I'm functioning, in the way that I'm running my business, in the way that I speak with my clients, in the way that I, manage my household, and the way that I live my life. And so I would love to invite you to dive into that because I know the power that it has, and I want to, really help as many women as possible. And men, if you're listening to it, you get to do this too. It's not just a woman thing. I just work with women, so I speak more to women. Um, but I want to really help as many women as I possibly can to see themselves, to walk with confidence, to be convicted in their purpose, and to live life unapologetically. So I hope that you enjoyed episode number 2. If you have any topic ideas that you would love to hear about, if you have any questions that came up for you throughout listening to this podcast, or if you have any guests that you would love me to have conversations with, I am open to hearing all of it. Please reach out to me. You can either comment on this video or you can reach out at kelly.schmalenberg on social media. And if you know that you want to work deeper in my world, I have a beautiful membership called The Chrysalis. It is $88 a month right now. It is weekly audio trainings, often more, a full access to all of my master classes, and anything that was and anything that will be in master classes. There's challenges. We're doing a self-love challenge right now, which is freaking fantastic. You get access to that included. Um, and if you do the VIP level, there are group coaching calls and all kinds of bonuses and extras. So reach out to me if you want to be a part of that. I do also have a few spaces in my one-to-one world. So come ask me where you want to be, what you want to be doing, how you want to work together, and I will give you all the options. And I'm so excited to have you continue listening to the Kelly Schmalenberg Show. I will talk to you very soon. I hope you have an incredible day. I believe in you. I love you. And I will talk to you soon.